Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are live streaming onto YouTube. We're also here in the Zoom room. Type in exactly where you're watching us from as we kick off today's event, as we will have a playback which will be available. It doesn't matter which platform you're watching us on, tell us where you are logging in from today, and we'll give you a quick timer to round up your group and make sure they don't miss this session. Wait, today you're going to hear from two amazing leaders on a great topic. Alrighty, for those people who are brand new and on this session for the first time, did you know that we're in 74 different markets around the world? And with that in mind, we have closed captions that you can read along with by clicking at the bottom of the screen in the Zoom room and on playback in YouTube. So have a quick listen to this before we get started.
Por favor, vaya a la parte inferior de la pantalla en Zoom o YouTube y haga clic en subtítulos para leer en español.
Kérlek menjünk képernyő aljára, a Zoomon vagy a YouTube-on, a Closed Caption részre, és ott el tudod olvasni magyarul a feliratot.
Silakan klik di layar bawah pada Zoom atau YouTube dan klik caption untuk membaca dalam bahasa Indonesia.
Pour les sous-titres en français, veuillez cliquer au bas de votre écran Zoom ou YouTube sur CC ou Closed Captions.
Zoom または YouTube の画面の下部に移動し、字幕をクリックして日本語で読んでください。
请到屏幕底部點閱隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
Παρακαλώ πηγαίνετε στο κάτω μέρος της οθόνης, στο Zoom ή στο YouTube και κάντε κλικ στους υπόλοιπους για να τα διαβάσετε στα ελληνικά.
請到屏幕底部點擊隱藏字幕以閱讀中文.
אנא עברו לתחתית המסך בזום וביוטיוב ולחצו על תרגום לכתוביות בעברית.
Proszę zejść na dół ekranu na Zoomie lub YouTubie i kliknąć napisy, żeby przeczytać po polsku.
Beautiful. Welcome online, everybody. We're live streaming on YouTube and on social media. And I just asked the question for those of you that were in earlier, did you enjoy the fact that we play some upbeat music before we get Members Night started? So guys, log in 5 or 10 minutes early and get with the vibe with all the other Neumi members rather than logging in at the last second. We got people today, I can see in the chat from Utah, welcome Italo. We have Mexico, we have Western Australia, Perth, we have Alberta, Drumheller, we have Washington State. We have someone saying I need a woman for that. Yes, that would be the multitasking. I agree. It's not normal for a male to be able to do this. We got Florida. We have a place I can't pronounce, Lamartine in PA. We have New Zealand. We have Montreal. We got people on from Virginia, from absolutely everywhere, which is fantastic. So with that in mind, today we've got a great session lined up for you. This is Members Night, and Members Night happens every single week. And this is where we have an opportunity to give you Road to One Star training. Road to One Star meaning basic training. We also have doctor interviews. We have success profile interviews. We do all sorts of things during this session, which is fantastic. And that will help you grow your businesses. And we listen to you. So if you have a topic that you think we need to hear more about, please tell your diamond, and then your diamond will feed back to us, and on this call we'll definitely jump into those topics. So today, I'm just going to get a slide up. We covered a magnificent topic. In fact, last week we were told it was the best training session of 2025. That's a big statement. I didn't say that. That was actually the people who were on last week's session. So we're going to do a continuation of what we did last week. Here it is. Right. Let me just bring it up. Okay. So last week we did a session where we focused on in the fork in the road in the industry, which is, some people are opportunists, some people become professionals. What does that mean? Well, we talked about the quadruple sort to kick off, just to position in your mind that not everybody goes on to build a big business. Everyone has the opportunity, everybody has the mentoring, the skill, training, all that sort of stuff, but not everyone commits to themselves. So the first sort is who's going to join. The next one is who's going to build. Doesn't mean that if they join, they're going to build. Some people become glorified customers in the name of a member. And then who's going to learn to lead. And that's what we're looking for. Who are the people who really want to learn from the best and the best? And then eventually, who's going to become a safe leader? What does that mean? Someone who doesn't waste their time chasing more than one rabbit, because they always lose them. There's never been a successful person in my entire career. I've met multiple network marketing businesses at one time. Just never happens. And so with that in mind, that's what we're looking for. Creating safe, great leaders that understand Neumi is the one thing to build. Now, we also talked about the fact that when you build your business last week and you kick it off, well, you have 5 ways that you can strike gold. And that means that there isn't just one way to do it. So we kick off, we always focus on the warm market. And that is, who do you know right now where the highest level of trust is? We'll call that the lowest hanging fruit. So that forms the first foundation. We talked about that. Then we said true networking is the next one. What's that? Who can you meet? Going to a new event, meeting a new person, and always being out there on the lookout for new people. That's another way. Then other people's networks, to people, through people. And 2 of the people I'm going to interview today have actually been probably the most professional in that regard of learning how to access networks and keep this thing growing. And then, of course, the next one is social media. And social media, we're going to do some great training in Neumi Week from a company called Elgato, the most professional, respected company in the industry of network marketing and social media. And they'll tell you, don't spam the Neumi name. There's a professional way of doing this. And we're going to touch on some of that today. And then we talked about beyond social media is all forms of lead generations. What does that mean? Well, it could be anything. It could be podcasts. I've been invited on one last week in Thailand. It could be wellness expos. Could be website traffic. It could be AI leads. It could be being a guest speaker. Who knows what could be? But we say all of those are secondary strategies. You always start with the warm market, right? Always start with the warm market because that's where your highest level of trust will always be. So today we're going to move on beyond that and say, well, we're talking about the warm market. What happens after that? Ever heard this statement? Dig the well before you need it. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means if you've just joined Neumi and you're starting with your warm contacts, that's fantastic, and that is exactly what you should do. But what happens after that? If you don't dig the well now, then you won't have all the water when you need it. It'll be dry. So if you burn through your list of, 100 names or whatever it is you've started with your mentor, doing cycles, as Italo talks about, which I love, 30 names in a cycle. Once you've burnt through that, then what? So don't wait to build your list. If you build it in advance and you start now doing daily tasks on professional networking and meeting more people and adding to your list, well, guess what? You will have an ever-flowing list of contacts permanently, and you won't actually have any dry spots, if you like, in building a business. So dig the well before you need the water. So add to your list now before you actually need those contacts. Now, I've done that, and I'm not saying this to brag. I got taught these things, and I could sponsor people today, if I wanted to, from people that I've warmed up over a period of time using things like social media. Now, not everyone's huge on social media. People do things differently here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an interview first. Let me just do something here. I just need to make one person a co-host, which is that one. And that means that they can add people while we're doing this. Okay, so I love the fact that every one of the diamonds that are in the whole Neumi family worldwide have been invited to participate and share on these calls. So just know that it's not one group. I also know that, and these people who are talking today will attest to this, I'm not about my team being the ones who present. In fact, we're going to have someone from my team today, which is a very well-respected leader in the world. And we're going to have someone who's not in my team who I would call a beautiful friend. And that is showing you that the whole Neumi family gets an opportunity to share their wisdom when we come into these particular events. So with that in mind, we're going to kick off. Firstly, Karen Justice, I love, because Karen represents to me one of the biggest hearts that I've ever seen in the industry. And that's one of the reasons her business grew so fast. Karen has grown through to Crown in about 5.5 months. I'm not suggesting that's an income claim that everyone can duplicate. I'm just saying that's a testament to her wisdom, her knowledge on the topic. So I asked Karen today if she could share with you a little bit about her perspective about once you've gone through your warm list, then what? So let's have a quick listen to this.
Well, I think that the pipeline is your number one asset if you want to make money at this. I think it's something that you should be focused on a lot and really keep it alive. I know I have a book that I use, and I'm always updating it and looking at it and deciding who I should call. As you know, I'm a person who doesn't do a lot of social media, so I'm not going to comment on that tonight. I want to talk about the things that I authentically do. And one of the things that I've been very good at and I've taught for years is that if you want to expand your network of contacts, you want to tap into your customer base and to your new builders that aren't really doing anything. And how you do that is at the point that they're having, some kind of a product success, you underline that success for them. And you let them know that when people have the types of results they've just had, they often want to share the product with somebody that they care about. And you let them know that you'd be more than happy to help them talk to anyone. And I always say, and you never know if someone gets as excited as I am about this, or they're looking for an additional income source, you might have a whole income stream open up underneath you. And at the very least, it could help offset some of your product usage costs. So I have develop that into a situation where the group starts going in all directions, because when you are bringing in people's contacts, you really are weaving, that network. And I believe in using your daily life as a funnel. You've heard me say before, network marketing is a great equalizer. The guy who mows your lawn could be the next big leader. We always hear about these legends in the industry and that. But the next legend in the industry could be your dentist or the dentist assistant. Everybody you meet has potential. I don't talk to everybody I meet, honestly, about networking. But if I'm in a situation where it's comfortable and I like the person, I will start chatting with them. And, I start off very graciously. I'm curious about them. I'm naturally curious about people. So I ask about them, for instance, if it's a waiter or maybe somebody that's driving the Uber or something, I ask them, is this their full-time gig, and just see what they have to say. A lot of times they'll say, no, I just do it part-time because I need the extra money. And I might say something like, yeah, I really get that. I needed, an extra source of income myself. And, now I'm self-employed. And I say as little as I possibly can, because I want them to ask questions. So I might say something like, yeah, I work with this great product. It's really fun. I work with a lot of athletes. And then I won't say anything else. And then they might say, oh, really? What is it? You know what I mean? And then it's a dialogue. It's less sales alerty. So I might say, I work with this great product. I work with a lot of influencers, or I work with this great product. I end up talking to a lot of doctors, but I keep it fun because people are attracted to enthusiasm. They just are. Another thing I'd like to say is you probably know hundreds of more people than you put on your list. If you go through your Facebook accounts and you look at some of your friends' accounts, it'll jog your memory of all kinds of people you might have worked with in the past or know. If you look at your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn accounts, those kinds of things, even former co-workers. You just reconnect and, hey, we haven't talked in forever type of thing. But another thing that's really important, I think, is to reconnect with your dormant contacts. Revisit those old conversations. I said no first. And I think everybody on my front line initially said no. Some say no, and then, after a couple of conversations, it's not no. But some say no, and it takes a couple of months till you call them back again, and then it's not no. So, just have those conversations, just follow up conversation, let them know how you're doing. And, any new successes, sometimes I'll say, hey, I just want to send you a couple of these before and afters. I'm looking so much better, but it's not just me. If I send them, will you look, that type of thing. Another thing you could do is look for, some new angles. Like you might decide that, hey, you're going to call them and you've been calling them about the business, and just call them back and say, hey, I know you would love this product. Look, if I'm willing to send you a bottle, I'm willing to send you a sample, but I just ask that you watch this video and let me know that you do want it, something like that. And you just get creative with it, and all of a sudden leads are opening up in all different directions. And if you use manners and fun and you keep it fun, people don't mind hearing from you again. And things change. Somebody that's engaged in a company at one point, tomorrow that company might have failed, or they're just one reason or another that all of a sudden where they're at has changed. So you constantly want to reconnect with dormant contacts, because it can be just a wealth of wonderful people that will end up getting involved in your business. So that's my 2 cents, Michael.
Beautiful. Now, Karen, as I said, you don't fall on the top of a mountain. She didn't do that by accident. Karen's become a professional in this industry, and you can learn a lot from the way she talked about that. Now, where in there did you hear Karen say, as soon as I meet someone on social media, I send them my link to join Neumi? You didn't, because that's not the way professionals build the business. Now, I'm a big believer that I use social media as an incubator to help me warm up relationships. Now, with that in mind, beautiful friend, actually the first person to wish me a happy birthday last year at the summit was Italo. Italo and I met through him joining Neumi. And also through his beautiful son that was with us as our marketing director for a while. And so I have listened to Italo as a cross-line leader in this industry, and there's not one word that's ever come out of his mouth that I don't feel would benefit absolutely everyone. He's a diamond in not my team, but Alex's other legs, and he has a huge following throughout Europe and Latin America and so forth. So with that in mind, I'm going to get Italo. And by the way, I swear I didn't tell Karen to match my clothing color today, and I didn't tell Italo, but having said, check this out. So I'll hand you to Italo to share his perspective on the topic too.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation tonight, and it's a real my pleasure today, and I'm really enjoying right now this listening to Karen. There's really a person I admire, the same thing, and Michael, and I have been this for a long time, so I fail more time than everyone right here. So I know how to do and how to not do it. So talking about the list, the hot list, because a lot of people say, you know what, I don't have more people to talk about, talk about my business. And so one of the thinking I do, and I have it's just a spreadsheet I'm an engineer by background, so everything need to be like that. I'm an industrial engineer. So I put it like bucket in a tab. One bucket is a cold market. This is some people, we don't know yet, but not very good. Some people picking from the social media. Another bucket is the warm bucket. This warm bucket is people know you, trust in you, but you haven't connected with them for a long, long time. Maybe a co-worker, maybe people have been working with you in another company, another opportunity, or maybe the people you know them, maybe a professional, people who you play golf with them or something, but I didn't connect with them. And then the third bucket is the hot one. And this one it should be the bucket where you are picking people to show the opportunity. So, and then our never, this is me, but you can do it. It never showed opportunity immediately to people on call. No, because that will be probably 99% you will fail. And the warm bucket, probably you had more possibility. But really, when you have more possibility, it's the hot one. Which is the hot one? It's the people you understand and you would like to work with him or her for the next 10 or 15 years. And the people is teachable and the people humble and people you have a burning desire to change the circumstances they are living right now. So there's the people. Also, these kind of people is a people is ready for something, but the majority of the people is in the warm market, But for example, warm, you have probably like me 5,000 people in your Facebook, or more or something like that, So there are a lot of people right there. This warm. That people, you know them, they trust in you because the people make business with people trust. If you don't trust in you, it'll be really difficult to make it up, because you start convincing them, you start trying to pushing with the opportunity. It shouldn't be like that, And then these people in the warm, you start reconnecting with them, For example, Facebook gives you a very good opportunity to reconnect with them because if you see, you realize in every single day, Facebook tell to you, oh, these people is a birthday, 10 people, 15 people, every single day, Facebook tells you is the birthday of them. So that's, for example, a way to reconnect with somebody, but don't say something really standard, happy birthday to you. No, that's a little bit more, bringing some emotion and at some point, or you leave it. Oh, I remember you when you got married. That was 10 years ago. The time fly, and then say, I can't believe it. I see you got 3 kids right now. And then you are reconnecting with them. Oh yeah, I have 3 kids. I have been really difficult, but I'm so happy. Blah. And then you are reconnecting. You don't talk about business yet. You are reconnecting with them, but you're gonna bring the emotion when you were together at some point. And then you start talking with them. Hey, what do you do? And you have a new pet too, and they think you have pet. Yeah, this is, yeah. And suddenly, I promise you, the person, they say, so what are you doing these days? And then that is the moment to present it then just that pitch elevator, nothing more than 30 seconds, something like that, Say, no, I'm training people, the high performance people for high demand products. Wow, what is that? Well, would you like to? I can tell you something, what I mean. But I think I have a video, 2.5 minute video about some technology we are working really hard right now about around the world. Oh, really? I want to see that. Yeah. Okay. And then this is the connection. This is you pass for the warm bucket to the hot bucket, And then this is a way you are having every single day. The job really as a network marketer is to doing every single day, warming up the list. And then how do I call this? I call that dynamic list. Because you do a dynamic list, you have cold people, you have warm people, you have hot people. Never present the business to people warm or is cold. No, because that will be a failure, very big failure. You will be frustrated. Say, what I don't people don't want to buy business because you are presenting the people is not ready yet. You cannot give it tacos to a baby. You have to give the baby, give it a milk, little bit, This is pasito, pasito, suavecito. You understand that? So we need to have like that. It's like when you want to go out with a lady, you are step by step, and then you don't say that, oh, I want to marry you. No, that will be a no, go away. So step by step, and that's in this one. Remember this, is that relationship marketing. Many people right now don't do it, don't say that, but this is relationship marketing. And then in the bucket, on the cold bucket, you put in everything for social media, campaign, everything you put in right there, and you are, sorting them, who you want to go for this bucket to the warm bucket, and then you are doing that. So it really no difficult thing. It really no, this is no engineering, deep engineering. No, it's just a simple step, but you have to do every single day with discipline. Every single day, your job as a network marketing professional is to doing warming up the list, putting from one bucket to the next bucket to the next bucket. So I think this is a really simple thing. We don't want to, it's just a lot more, but this is the basic thing we are going to talk with you. And thank you very much, Michael, for inviting me. And I'm big help for every single one of them, wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. I loved, I wrote a little note there. You can't feed tacos to babies. I love that. Right? You start with the milk and you work up. I loved putting Karen and Italo before I shared what I do, because everything they said validates exactly the way I'm talking about. Now, I want to ask you this question. Have you ever received a friend request on Facebook and then someone immediately, without building a relationship, says, check out my link, launching new company? Have you ever experienced that? Type in yes in the chat if you have, right? And after you type yes, type in vomit if you think it's a bad way of building the business. Because for me, I've never responded to anybody who've done that, right? And so I want to share two stories with you, and it might hit home. So I bought some new runners this week, right? And we've decided, looking at what's happening in the world right now, Liz and I said, well, we can afford to pay a little bit more for something if it means in the economy we can put the money back in the little guy's hands rather than the big conglomerate. So we decided to go to a little runner shop to talk to someone. And the guy asked me so much about I've got a knee problem. He asked me about my stability. He had me walk on a thing. He asked me what colors I like, what was I looking for. Was it fashion over functionality? And I thought, well, actually functionality is important because of my knees. And I came out of there and I was waiting. I didn't even ask the price. And I'm not saying that because I'm going, oh, I got lots of money. My wife is my financial controller. We're very frugal. She is. I'm not. But it's good that she is, right? And so we went to purchase, and it cost me similar to what it would cost me anywhere else. And I said, what's your name? He said, Jack. I said, Jack, thank you so much for your help. It was such good service. He didn't try and thrust his version of what those shoes are that I would need on me without asking questions. He spent a lot of time getting to know me, building a relationship of trust in that short period we were there, and getting to understand my needs, wants, and don't wants. And I came away out of that going, this was so fun, I suppose, to actually buy shoes off this guy. Let me share another example. I had a lady that I've known for many years, didn't see her for quite some time. One day she's on social media and she reaches out to me and she says, Michael, I can help you. And I'm like, right, help me. What are we going to help me with? Right. And she said she'd just done a new course on neuro-linguistic programming, and she knows how she can turn my life around. Here's the problem. I didn't think my life needed turning around, right? She didn't ask one thing about where I was at. She had this new skill, and I can transform the world by thrusting it upon people. That is a poorly trained network marketer. Oh, you have to have this product. It's the greatest thing on the planet. You've got to have it. What about build a relationship? What about what Karen talked about? What about Italo talked about? Cold bucket, warm bucket, hot bucket. Build relationships rather than thrust something upon people. Now, is neuro-linguistic programming great and could it help people? Probably. But I was offended that someone just assumed they could fix me when I didn't think I was broken in the first place, right? And that would be the same as going into a shop where someone's trying to thrust their shoe on you that's the most profitable versus asking quality questions and getting to know someone, right? So with that in mind, I want to say this. Where people, I believe, go wrong in network marketing is we talked before about digging the well before you need it, yeah? And they don't dig the well. So then when they get to the point of needing more names, they haven't warmed them up like Italo talks about, and they're all sitting in the cold bucket. And then they assume that I'm going to make 10 phone calls to build a relationship, and I'm going to have 10 people watch a video, and I'm going to have 10 people hop on a three-way Zoom with my upline, and I'm going to have 10 people join. And that's the problem, that they're expecting 100% strike rate. So I stole this out of my wife's kitchen, right? She's probably wondering where it is. It's a funnel. And what I say to people is I spend way more time building lots and lots and lots and lots of relationships up here in the cold market to warm them up, to eventually get them to hot, to when I may talk about Neumi. So, if I'm going to want to talk to 10 people about Neumi, I might need to start 100 conversations, of which 30 go nowhere, not now, maybe down the track, and others may progress slowly, okay? So with that in mind, I'm going to show you a couple of things about my social media incubation and then talk about where the hidden gold nuggets are, okay? So just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to bring up something. I want to show you real time exactly what I'm talking about. Let me go to my Facebook page. Here we go. So I'm just going to show you this so I can give you a real life example of how I might address it. So when I go to my Facebook, first thing I want to say is be publicly, be interesting. Jackie typed it before because she's been in a lot of training sessions. Privately, be interested. Write that down. Publicly, be interesting. Privately, be interested. Okay, so what do I mean? And by the way, I'm multitasking, leading people in the room here. So here, if you were to look at my profile straight away, I have put quite a bit of thought into it, and it talks about what I do for a living in case there's a curious person clicks on it. But I don't spam Neumi every day. Let's go down and have a look at it. So yesterday, there was a beautiful moon and a beautiful pink sky, and I posted that last night because why? I walked out and I said to Liz, looking over the balcony, holy moly, look at that. So I posted that photograph up. Now, lots of people have interacted with it. It has nothing to do with Neumi, right? On purpose. Let's keep scrolling. This was me putting up a quote yesterday about how I believe, there's lots of BS in the industry. You need to keep your eyes laser focused on going forward. Don't focus backwards. Don't listen to distraction, ego, all that stuff. What was that about? That was about elevating my perception as an expert in my field, right? But it wasn't about Neumi. Then I went down here, and I'm going to show you this for a reason. This one's me reading a great book talking about how, Johnson & Johnson poisoned everybody with asbestos. What? Read the book. Trust the science. Yeah, right. Trust what science? What I'm building up to something here, guys. Now, the people that are interacting here, a lot of them have nothing to do with Neumi, right? But the people who are on this one mostly have something to do with Neumi. Let's keep going, and I'll get to my point. This was a quote about transforming people's lives rather than just chasing the money. Again, that was Neumi related. That's why it has a very tiny amount of people interacting. Why? Because it's Neumi, it's selling, right? So selling is repelling, remember that. Now we get down to this one, and I was going for a walk in the morning, and I talked about, the impacts of just walking every day, small steps. In there's lots of people that have interacted when we go down. And if I look at it, I'm going to show you one example, and this backs up what Italo's talking about. So if we look at the comments, and I haven't approached this person, and if you listen to the recording, I may or may never ever reach out to this person, but Lynn and I worked together in my 20s. She's been on social media ever since. I have not talked to her about Neumi. Okay, so what would I do here if I was Italo? I would strike up a private conversation with Lynn. I would immediately go to, I'm not going to do this for Privacy Act, but I would immediately go to Lynn's Facebook wall. I would look at what she's been up to for the last few years, and I would reach out with a genuinely interested conversation. Hey, Lynn, I noticed you're on the same page as me when you're you replied to that thing the other day. How's life? What have you been up to? I noticed you bought a new puppy dog, or wow, looks like you've moved from, Brisbane to Sunshine Coast. Or happy birthday, or whatever it may be, right? So there's a lead sitting right there, right under my nose, because I haven't spoken to her for 20 years, right? And social media helped me with that. Now, I want to show you this one for a reason, because this one here, I created this post the other day on one of the pages, and it's been the most shared thing around the Neumi world for the last 4 weeks. 29 shares there. It just went viral. Now, everyone thinks this is how you grow the business. I'm here to burst your bubble. That is one part of credibility and the glutathione message. But if all you're doing is posting this stuff and you don't post anything about you as a human being, selling is repelling. You're overdoing it. Tone it down. You'll hear this from Sam, who's the number one training company in the industry, coming up soon. You'll hear this from her on Neumi Week. And then I asked questions. I want to find out more about what people know about AI. Is it scaring you? Do you know much about it? And it just went quite viral with comments, right? And then when I get to this one, which was a bit of fun, right? Talking about filters that people use to, make them not even look like themselves. I scrolled down there, and in here, I noticed in the likes, if I go down, I went down and I noticed this guy, Darren Haythorpe. Darren and I have only been Facebook friends for about a year and a half. I've not spoken to him about Neumi either. So that'd be another opportunity to say, Darren, how hilarious was it, showing how people put these ridiculous filters on and they can't even just love the skin they're in. And I could start a conversation with that one as well. So I've showed you that to say the tip of the iceberg. This is the problem. And we're going to have Sam talk about this. I said to Sam, when you do the training, do me a favor. You need to do two things for us, please. You need to say, when you look at Michael's profile, don't copy him. And like, what? Because Michael is a founding advisory board member and a crown with the company who is solely focused on Neumi, never ever going to build any other business in the industry. I'm here for life. I've stapled myself to the chair. I'm not going anywhere. Italo and I talked about this earlier. Someone invites him to lunch, trying to prospect him. He's like, oh, you can invite me for lunch or dinner, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm in Neumi for life, right? I'm the same. But so because of that, I'm a bit more vocal about Neumi than the average person should be. And I said, please also tell them they sometimes look at some of our big influencers that are actually in Neumi and go, oh, they're posting Neumi every 20 seconds. I should too. No, you shouldn't be, because selling is repelling. Some of those people have 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people on their social media. Italo said you probably have 5,000 people. He does, I do. Most people have 300 to 400. If you have 300 to 400 people on your social media right now and you start doing what an influencer does, you're going to kill your market in 20 seconds flat. So the tip of the iceberg is what's being posted online. My success comes from the private conversations I'm having. Exactly what Italo said. Building relationships, being genuinely interested in other people, like Jackie typed, and going from cold to lukewarm to hot. And when the moment's right, absolutely. But back to the funnel. I do heaps of that, knowing that I'll have only this many down here that will be in the hot bucket ready to do. So invest your time in doing exactly that. How do you do that? Write this one down. Ask open-ended questions. I love teaching this when it's text, because when you're in front of someone, you've got to remember, what did he say? How did you get into that industry? Well, there's an open-ended question. What made you get into that industry? You can't say yes or no. And sometimes when you're face-to-face learning this sort of stuff that I learned in my 18 years of age through network marketing, you've got to learn it face-to-face. Now we're in a world where a lot of people type. I love that, because on social media, I can think about my question before I type it to Italo. I can give it a bit of pre-thought and go, and thank you, Jackie just typed them in. Who, where, when, what, why, how, tell me more, not, I understand you're now a electrician, Italo. Yes, no, right? What made you get into the electrical game? That seems like a left field thing for you. He's going to open up and start talking. So you want to engage people by making them do the talking, not you. So don't be that opportunist, that poorly trained person who adds someone on Facebook and goes, bang, check out my link. Instead, do everything Italo said. Instead, do everything that Karen said. Do everything I'm saying. Use your social media as an incubator to warm up the relationships, not just to add people and then spam them, right? Now, I'm going to add a couple more things as we just get close to wrapping this up. How do you use social media and some of the other 5 ways to strike gold? Well, last night, lo and behold, I'm sitting here and I was talking to Liz about something to do with AI, because we're going to do some talks about AI at Neumi week, so don't miss that. And I saw a advert saying Sunshine Coast business owners, AI event, free event, come along, blah, blah, blah. So I reached out to one of my best friends here, who's in financial planner and financial advisor. And I said, I know you're dipping your toe in the water into AI. So am I. How about we both go together to that event? Now, there'll be hundreds of business owners there. Am I going to go there with my Neumi card and go, hi, here's Michael, here's my Neumi card, you need to check out Neumi? No, that's what an idiot would do, right? I'm going to go there to meet people. I'm going to go there with a genuine interest in discovering more about AI, but I'm also going to go early. I'm going to rock up to the coffee machine. I'm going to walk up, and there'll be someone like Italo or Erin I'm looking at. And I'll be like, I'll make some coffee and I'll go, oh, hi, I'm Michael. What's your name? Oh, I'm Erin. Oh, whereabouts are you from? Erin, what business do you run? How long have you been on the Sunshine Coast for? What made you get into that one? I'm going to do all of that. And then I'm going to select out of the first half a dozen or a dozen people that I meet in the coffee session 30 minutes before, who seems like a dingbat. That's an Aussie slang for an idiot. Who seems like somebody I would like to get to know. And then I'm going to go sit next to the person I want to get to know, not the dingbat. And I will build a relationship, and I'll probably go, hey, you've got a card there? Are you on social media? Hey, I'll connect on Facebook. And I don't need to be talking about Neumi. Now, if somebody asked me, Italo said it, you've got to have your 30-second elevator pitch ready. And I've got mine rehearsed out loud so many times I could do it with my eyes shut asleep, right? And it will sound conversational, but it'll be enough to say, this is what I do, but I'll finish it with a question about them, flicking it back on again, because I'm not there to present. I'm just there to meet people. And then I'll get the cards, I'll get them to social media. And that's another way of bringing them the cold end of the bucket. And then over time, I'll warm them up on social media. And they might be a prospect that somebody I might talk to about Neumi in a year from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a week from now. I don't know. But my point is, dig the well before you need it. Another example. Karen said, through people, through your members, right? It doesn't have to be just social media. And I'm looking at Erin, and it just came into my mind. Erin reached out to her son-in-law, who happens to be a very successful businessman, who had a business partner who happens to be in Thailand. And so next minute, we're on a call with someone in Thailand who knows heaps of network marketers. So to people, through people. Her son's not an active driver of Neumi, but she's gone through him to meet the next person. So that's another way of continuing to grow your list and keep it moving. So as we wrap up, all I'm going to say is, we said dig the well before you need it. So I'm going to set you a challenge, okay? I want you to put your hand on your heart and your hand in the air. Look at me in the camera, right? I'm looking at your faces, and say, I solemnly swear to make this a concerted effort on a daily basis moving forward. I'm looking for your lips to be moving. I can see some of them are, right? So it's got to be a concerted effort. You need to dig the well before you need it. I'm going to give you a challenge, and this will help set you up for the presentation that Sam from Auxano is going to be doing. And that is, I want you to pick a figure, something that works for you. Maybe you don't work full time. Maybe you do. So you're going to have to be time sensitive. 5 people a day if you've got working full time. 10 people a day if you're not, or maybe even more. Strike up some genuine conversations. Do exactly what Italo said. Let's start digging the well before you need it by warming some of these cold contacts up by having genuinely interested conversations. Where are you going to find them? Birthdays, as Italo said. Happy birthday. Oh my God, I remember when we were doing the dancing on the speakers when we were 18 years of age at the nightclubs. That was me, right? Whatever it is, when you were together back then, right? Or in Lynn's case, oh my God, I can remember when 10 of us got in a spa, a 2-person spa, right? When we were in Yellow Pages when I was in my teens, right? Crazy stuff. So whatever it is, warm those ones up, but I want you to maybe add new people, go out and do things that you're passionate about, add people, but then just warm them up. Don't be going for the jugular, digging this well before you need it. Now, if you did, hypothetically, and go back to what I said here, do what a professional does. If you added 10 conversations a day without a Neumi agenda, just 10 genuine conversations to be interested in somebody else. And out of those 10, you did 7 a week, that's 7 days a week, that's 70 people. Right, that's 140, that's 280 people that you would have warmed up in this next 4 weeks if you just did 10 conversations a day. Now, the conversations, some of them will go, hey, remember when we, we're 10 people in a spa in our 20s, hey, blah, 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 something about what she does, and it may go nowhere. It hasn't broken. That's perfect. You're not expecting every single person to pop out the funnel. If you do, you're deluded or you're the spammer. So what we're saying is take some of the conversations down. Some will end, some you might say, and I like doing this for posture. You might actually say, hey, sorry, got to run. The phone just rang. Been great chatting. We'll chat again soon. Sometimes I've said that and the phone didn't ring. I just wanted to finish with posture and walk away and come back another day and continue the conversation. So you might have a conversation with someone and Lynn might say, I'm a personal trainer, but I've just done my knee, so I'm, struggling to do that at the moment. And we might have had that conversation and I might have been genuinely interested through to a conversation. And then I might have gone, hey, sorry, got to run. Someone just rang. We'll chat again soon. It's been great chatting. Then I might come back the next day and go, hey, you remember how you said yesterday you did your knee and you're struggling to do the personal training right now? I might have something that could help you. If I sent you a video that explains something about what I'm doing, would you watch it? So posture by coming back a day later. Now you can go straight for it if they're hot, or you might choose to leave it 24 hours and come back to keep your posture. Really up to you, whatever works for you. But again, if you did that 10 a day, 280 contacts warmed up, maybe 100 of them get to the point where you could approach them. What if you only did half that, 5 a day, and you had 140 contacts you've warmed up by doing a daily practice of just 5 genuinely interested conversations a day, and you've got 140 of them? What if only 30 of them came through the funnel enough to have a conversation to get them to watch the video? Boom, guess what you just did? You've done exactly what Italo teaches. You've just done another cycle, right? And that, my friends, is the baby steps on how professionals build a network marketing business. So I hope you got a lot out of today. If you did, as always, I said we're going to put the training like we did last week into the Neumi member group in a few minutes. And I would highly recommend, and I would love you to do this for the benefit of everybody else in the Neumi family. What's the one thing you got out of it today? And I'm going to ask you in about 20 minutes from now to go into the Neumi member group and type it in there so the rest of the group that hasn't watched this event realize the importance of sharpening their axe. And sharpening their axe, I remember this statement years ago. Marcus Setter, an industry trainer, said this. In fact, he was dressed up as Abraham Lincoln on stage when he said it. And he said, if I was, to give advice, if you're going to cut down a tree, what would you say? He said, I'd spend most of my time sharpening the axe. Today, guys, we're sharpening the axe, and that will make you more effective as a network marketer. Unfortunately, a lot of people, the opportunists in our industry, they never sharpen the axe. All they do is go through the same context, keep swapping them from company to company, never becoming a professional. And that's what gives the industry a bad name. So we don't want our members to be those people. We want you to be the ones that really do understand how to become a professional. Okay, thank you for today. Thank you, Italo. Thank you, Karen. Love your input, and we'll see you all on the next event. All the best.